Okay, this is our final lesson for crime and deviance, and we're really looking at social control in this lesson. So not so much the crime, not so much the criminals, it's that how we stop people from committing these crimes in the first place. Social control. So we're going to find out how we control people, and understand how clever the system really is, and develop our thinking skills. Really understand the world that you live in and why people don't go around the entire time doing whatever they want. Keywords: culture, value, status, informal, formal, police, court, prison, probation, criminal justice system. These four things together got to create the criminal justice system. Okay? So, just a few notes really. Very few people commit crime. A tiny percentage of people ever commit a serious crime. Well, why? Because you know you shouldn't. There's a little voice in your head, your conscience, saying you shouldn't do that, don't do it. Yeah? You don't commit crime because you know you shouldn't. You don't want to commit crime. Yeah? So you may well be hungry, you don't steal things. You may want something, you don't just take it, it belongs to somebody else. You don't need to be forced to do those things or not to do those things. You somehow just know them. We call this social control. Yeah. In particular, it's called informal social control. Informal, when there's no system, there's no written down rules, you just know. It is much more powerful and important than the police and the prisons and the courts. Yeah. Informal control is what controls most of us most of the time. We do not need the prison. We do not need the police. We do not need the courts. We do not need a form of punishment. We just know what to do and what not to do. This is informal control. Where does it come from? Yeah, obviously it is part of culture. You learn it. There are values. You control it by status. Yeah? You gain high status by following the rules. You get low status by not. And it all gets into our heads. We think through mostly these four things. Family. You learn a lot of this stuff from your family. You don't do things to upset your mom. Your family teach you not to do certain things. Primary socialisation. And then secondary socialisation. School. Religion. Peer group. This is informal social control. It's not the job of these things to stop you committing crime, but it is what they end up doing. You don't want to be kicked out of the peer group so you don't steal their phone. You don't want to be kicked out of school so you obey those rules. You don't want to go to hell so you don't steal things and kill people. Informal social control. It's a cultural thing. It teaches you values. We value private property. And for disobeying these rules, you get low status. However, there is what we call formal social control as well. For the minority of people for whom informal social control does not work, we've created a system on top of that, and we call this formal social control, yeah? Which is much more what you'd think of as control. So it's the police who physically prevent you from doing certain things you shouldn't, and if you do them, they were the ones who will arrest you and stop you. There's the courts. Once you have been arrested for a crime, you go to court, and the judge, the jury and the judge decides your punishment. Then there's, of course, the punishments. Prison is the one in our system at the moment, the loss of liberty. And other things like ASBOs and various court orders and etc. etc. But this together is known as the criminal justice system, and is what we call formal social control. So formal, police, prison, courts, judges, etc. Informal, family, religion, peer group, school. This is much more powerful, particularly family and primary socialisation.